Hello, friends, and welcome to Your Daily Detroit. It is Tuesday, May 10th, 2022. Today, we're talking about development, all kinds of development, big, small, green, tall, all the things. And to help me do that across the table from me, Runyan from Urbanize. Welcome back.
Thanks, Jer. Thanks for having me.
Of course, and if I didn't share, I'm Jer Stays. And man, there's just a big list to talk about. Let's get first with a site that almost everyone's going to know and have a connection with, the old Joe Louis Arena. What's happening over there? Because it's something where we've seen like a very low res rendering, and then this is property that I believe is also part of the bankruptcy settlement. So what's the latest?
Right. Yeah. We really want to see some pictures of what's going to be going in there.
It's only like the most prime spot on our skyline. It's going to be like on all the postcards and everything, right?
And it's a lot of property we're talking about here. So apparently a building permit has been pulled. There's been work being done at the site for quite a while now, a number of months. Apparently the building permit is for the 25-story apartment building. And they are also going to build, likely at some point, hotels and an office building.
So it's more than just one structure. It's more of like a complex, if you will.
Yes. And it just seems like it's a very high volume complex. Like it's a lot of apartments. It's a lot of hotel rooms, which we really need. The city is really lacking in hotel rooms if we want to get, big events into town, which we've been passed over for. I really want to see some renderings soon because I'm on the riverfront a lot. I walk down there all the time. And yesterday I, snapped some pictures when I was out there. Big cranes going up. Like we can get a visual of the site. We know how big the arena was. But man, 25-story high rise? That's wild. Like it's going to be dominating the whole river skyline.
Especially on that side. And if you think about you're going from the Rensen past there, then you've got the riverfront apartments, and then you've got Ralph C. Wilson Park. That is a whole kind of complete area. It's so wild to me that we don't have renderings or looks about this stuff. And I know that because the property was dealt with in bankruptcy, things are a little bit different. But I feel like as a resident, we kind of deserve this.
Yeah, same. We all want to see what's going to happen there. It's happening right now. I mean, they're under construction. So if we talk about it enough,
somebody will do something.
Somebody will do something.
The other concern I have about that site, it is kind of isolated. And part of the magic of what's been happening in downtown and kind of the resurgence has been in creating spaces that aren't as separated. Even the Rensen to this day, I think part of the problem that they're having with their occupancy, which has been reported multiple places, and I've known that that's been an issue for years. You've got GM that's not going to bring back a bunch of their people. But part of the problem is that it's set apart. Even when you took out the berms, it's set apart. Part of the problem with Joe Louis when it was a hockey arena. It was almost like this fortress for suburbanites to come in and park and then leave again. You're still not taking out the freeway or any of those things. So I wonder about that connectivity.
Yeah, it's tough because there's so many separate places. They're very big places, but they're all very separate over there. So you have Huntington Place. I got it right. Cobo.
What is the name now? TCF, Huntington, Cobo. Right. Huntington, that's right.
Yes. So you have that over there. And people go to that place for specific reasons. You have riverfront towers over there, obviously. A lot of apartments and condos right there. But it's not like people are going for a bunch of different reasons. There's very separate over there. So it'll be interesting to see how this starts to get tied together. And I think the big part of that is going to be the Riverwalk.
I think this is a great time to kind of segue into the Riverwalk and park spaces with Ralph C. Wilson Park.
I'm very excited about this. I have been for years. It's a really big site along the West Riverfront, kind of by, Corktown.
Not Corktown Shores?
Corktown Shores. I was trying not to say it. I was so trying not to say it.
Don't ever use that, listeners. That is not a thing. This is a joke from back in the day. Oh, geez. Was it with
It was before I was with Curbed.
Oh, okay. It was before you were with Curbed.
I never used it on Curbed, I swear.
Okay, good. Thank you. I appreciate that. Just like when I lived in North Corktown, one of the first things that my new neighbor said to me, never, under any circumstances, call it NOCO. And I have kept that to my heart. I knew not to call it NOCO, but they're like, this is one thing, just so you know, you're new to the neighborhood, don't do. It's not NOCO.
So Soma, right?
Oh, geez. Soda Pop? The South Park skit?
Right.
When that Soma thing got announced, I was thinking where is Cartman?
Yeah.
So yeah, let's get back into Ralph C. Wilson Park because I'm excited about it too.
Yeah, for sure. So the designer is very well known, Michael Van Valkenburg and Associates. They did Brooklyn Bridge Park, which I've been to before. Kind of when this whole thing was being talked about and being proposed, I actually got to go to the park, and it's definitely a destination. It has something for everybody. I saw a lot of families there, and I think that this park is going to be a destination as well. I mean, you have a lot of play areas, you have this huge lawn, and there's going to be events and performance space. Obviously, there's going to be a bunch of basketball courts and places for sports. You're going to have like all these nature activities that people can do. So it's really like education, conservation, the places for fishing because so many people fish along the riverfront. I'm just really excited to see it come to life finally.
And it is a big chunk of land. That's right behind the giant super duper post office. I don't even know what to officially call it. I call it the giant super duper post office.
The one that's open on Sunday. That's what I call it.
Yes, the one that's open on Sunday when you need to get stuff out there.
Yes.
For me, if this has been a project that's been talked about for a long time and the renderings are exciting, I know there's going to be some shifts in the final thing. So I think we're going to have to definitely keep following this to see what actually ends up shaking out. Because once you get into the work, things start to move a little bit.
Yeah, for sure. And what I'm excited about, not only just to see everything that's going to be there, but you know, it's just going to be a longer extension of the Riverwalk, which I use all the time, and a lot of people use all the time. It's just exciting to see that go, like all 5 miles that they want to go.
A complete Riverwalk is going to be such a gem for not just the city of Detroit, but the region, right? Like it's the kind of thing to just tie everything together. To me, Detroit is the beating heart of this region. And so it's so important that, you know, these are places that everyone can be a part of. Speaking of things that are moving forward, Fisher Body Plant, the community benefits process, we don't have tons of details yet, but I understand it's happening.
It is happening. They've been having meetings so far. They've picked their advisory board. So, you know, I was very surprised with the initial announcement of it. You know, they're going to have over 400 apartments and offices and all this space for this giant industrial building that doesn't really look like it could withstand all, you know, being saved, but they're going to do it. So good for them.
This is a good way to look at for the people listening at home. If you see the community benefits process start to happen, that means like this is moving forward.
Yeah.
This next one, I am fascinated. When I first heard about it I first heard about it actually when I was at a bar event in Greektown on the roof of one of the places down there. And they're like, we're going to build this thing from the top down. And I went, what? And I'm also extremely fascinated by it. So let's talk about the Exchange in Greektown. And for me, I think Greektown is a great place. Look, Greektown has its ups. It's also had its, you know, well-publicized downs in the news. Getting some real, like, residential in there. And yes, I know there's a few apartments, buildings owned by that one guy. But getting some real residential back in that neighborhood, I think is so key. I think about when I was younger, my dad used to drop me off at an arcade there with one of the Greek guys because we didn't have babysitters. He was just like, here's a bag of quarters. He smoked a lot of cigars. I played a lot of arcade games while my dad went and worked and painted offices and whatever. I don't think you have a complete neighborhood until you have a very significant portion of residents. And to me, so much of Greektown has been parking lot. And to see something like this in a signature piece, I think is a big deal.
Yeah, it's great that they're going to have so many residential spots for it. It's 16 stories, 12 condos, 2 on the top floor. So some people are going to get those pretty swank views.
Very swank. You know, we could always start a daily Detroit. I've said this before. We should start a daily Detroit clubhouse. The thing is, we would need a lot of money. Like podcast studio, we could all hang out there. You know, who's got an extra couple mil sitting around?
Sure. Yeah. Anybody out there, let's do it.
So talk about this lift build process.
Yeah, so this came about through Barton Mallow, the construction firm. It's fascinating to see it come to life because they've been talking about it for a while and saying that it's going to be built from the top down. So last weekend, they raised the roof on it. They put the roof up, and it's a $1 million roof. And so there's 2 pillars, support pillars, and a roof. And that's what's there right now. And it's kind of fascinating that it's just sitting up there. And in a few weeks, they're building each floor on the ground, getting it all ready, and then lifting it up. So soon we'll see the 16th floor go up, and about every 2 or 3 weeks we'll start to see floors going in, literally from the top down. And if you haven't been down there, you have to go see it, because this is something very new, and it's wild to see.
What kind of advantages would this give a builder?
Safety, first of all, because so much is being built on the ground, and so you don't have people way up there working on things. Speed, they are depending on it to move faster in construction, and they seem to be moving along fairly quickly. Those are the two big ones.
To me, I think about the times I've seen buildings where they have like the helicopter or the crane, they have to drag up all the HVAC stuff. I feel like this is something where you don't have to take as much aerial work, or you've got it contained in a way where you just can be more efficient.
Yeah, and they explained that to me too. So pretty much everything's going to be built out. And when they lift each floor, the materials they'll need to kind of finish it out will be on there, so they don't have to, use a crane to bring it up there. Also, what he told me, which I didn't really expect, is that the facade will be forming at the same time. Oh. So we will be seeing the outside, because it's a black and white kind of checkered facade. So we're going to see that coming in from the top down as well, which I think will be really, really cool.
Let's go over to the east side before we kind of end up back here at the studio. And let's start working our way east and talk about Lafayette West, which is east but west.
Right. So we're going to be hearing about this one quite a bit more in the coming weeks. But I did check in with them recently, because they have been doing construction since late fall. So we're going to see buildings going up. We're starting to see some structural parts going up, but we're going to see buildings. This is going to bring apartments and condos. It's right east of 375.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, right. If you go off Antietam, it's kind of right there. So we'll see apartments, condos. They just went up for sale. The condos just went up for sale. They do have a model unit open if you wanted to go check that out. They're very pet friendly. They're going to have like walking paths and parks and all that. So that's excited to see that starting to take shape.
And looking a few years into the future, if we do actually get this deletion of I-375, if that actually happens, and there's a lot of discussion to be had about that, because there's going to be a lot of land that's going to get freed up by this. So there's a lot, and I want to get into more of that in another episode, because I think there's been some really interesting points raised by some friends of the show around where that should go, how that should get divvied up, because you really only kind of get one chance to do this, to get this much land that close to downtown. Regardless, this is in a great position to kind of capitalize on it.
Very much so. Like, this is in prime location for that, because it's so close to so many things. It's close to Eastern Market. It's close to the riverfront. It's close to the DeQuinder Cut. It's close to downtown. It's close to everything. Yeah. So, yeah, if you take out that big freeway right in the middle of there, they're going to have an easier way to bike or walk right downtown.
And I think that's what a lot of people are looking for with city living,
Absolutely.
Now, let's go even farther east with the Mack Alter homes. I'm really glad that you want to talk about this, because that is a part of town. We recently had Josh Elling on from Jefferson East. Mack and Alter is an intersection that I know through my life, and I'm glad to see some work being done. This one is specifically for low income and disabled folks, though, right?
Right, for sure. So, yeah, we really haven't seen a lot of construction over in that area, especially in the form of apartment buildings. So this is specifically for low income and disabled Detroiters. So they have a voucher system in place, so no more than 30% of their income will go towards rent. It's priced at, I believe, like 50 to 60, the area median income. They will have some services on site if they need it. And also, it's like really close to shopping. Like,
super close.
Rite Aid right there. I have frequented the Aldi quite a bit.
Yes, the Aldi. Well, it is useful there to have that shopping. And I won't discount the idea that, you've got that access also to the Grosse Pointe Park neighborhood, which is, you got a lot of nice places if you want to walk, or if you want to, go get a coffee, or you want to get access to things. You have access to all that stuff too. And I mean, that's kind of like the dirty little little secret about living on the edge of the city. So many people do because you can that's one nice thing about that east side. You don't really have to worry as much about services for certain things or access to certain things because you can just kind of zip right over the border.
Yeah, for sure. And there's so many businesses along Mack Avenue now, both on the Detroit side and the Grosse Pointe side. And those are two main roads, Mack and Alter. So you also have access to transit if you need it, which, these folks might need it.
Circling back here to the studio, just a couple of blocks away, let's just be really honest, this food co-op, it's a thing. Like Malik Bikini has pulled it off, Sonia Mays. It's moving forward. This is a dynamic project.
It's really exciting because for so long, Detroit has had the term food desert thrown around. It's not always super easy to get the groceries you need. It's getting better, obviously.
Oh, yeah, and it's been getting better over the course of a few years. I mean, as somebody who has lived in the city most of my adult life, I've never had any problem finding necessarily what I need, but I've also had the access to transportation and things like that.
Yeah, for sure. So this is right along Woodward. People can buy into the co-op, and it's going to have fresh produce. It's going to have everything you need. The North End, we really could use a grocery store right around here.
Yeah, I mean, we have King Cole Foods, but it's only so much, and it's not the same level of like fresh produce and things like that. And I think it's just also important because it's Black owned, and that really matters in a city like this. I think people don't realize that although it is, and I get comments from people a lot. Why do you mention this? Well, especially when you're talking about the city of Detroit, this city is super majority Black. And frankly, people should own it. There needs to have that investment in what's happening. And that's part of the whole mission of Malik Yakini. And I don't think we can separate the two, right? Especially with Malik's life work, with his farms on the west side and stuff like that. We can't separate the two because I think it's crucial to like why he exists.
Right, for sure. And on the development side, Sonia Mays from Develop Detroit has been doing a lot of work in this neighborhood as well.
She's done a lot of great work. She's been on the podcast before.
Yep, she's awesome. So not only, is it Black owned and building, but this money is going to stay in the neighborhood. Like people are going to spend their money in Detroit. They live here. They can walk there. They'll spend their money there. It's very community oriented.
One thing to look at about places like, there's like a Family Dollar down the street and whatever. That money just kind of gets hoovered up and it goes out of town. Yeah. When you spend in those places. And I'm not saying that, they don't have their role because obviously they do. They've got customers, whatever. But that money kind of zooms up. Another thing I like about this is it's a colorful design. It's really unique. It's like joyful. And I think that's part of the thing, too, that I like.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. And it's next to a building that is a historic building itself that's currently for sale right now. So you'll have a kind of interesting dichotomy. It used to be a value village, and It's been empty for a while. But it'll be interesting to see who buys that, takes it over, what they'll do with it, and then have this, community place next door.
I remember seeing the real estate listings for that one, and it's got a really cool, like, glass type roof that if you wanted to use it, like redo it, you could have a lot of light and space in that one, which would be very cool. I just think there's just so much potential with things, and it's so good to see people involved in the city being part of its comeback, and it can't happen every time, but it's happening here, and that's good to see.
And it's nice to see things happening, like construction happening, shovels in the ground. That's one of the biggest obstacles in all of this.
Right. It's getting the thing moving. And that's something that I think really has stuck with me recently. Either a project gets moving and it goes or it doesn't. This whole waiting game, maybe, whatever. I hope that like projects with the Packard plant, Fernando Palazuelo, I hope that's a lesson to us for the future that you either do or do not.
Right.
It's so wonderful to see you in the studio.
It's nice to see you too. It's a beautiful day with the door open. Couldn't ask for more.
Well, with that, I'm Jer Stays. Thank you so much for listening. Remember that you are somebody, and we'll see you around Detroit.